Hi everybody, Martyn at Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying a sea trout fly. This is Mock's Beauty. It's more of a daytime fly, really, I believe. Tying these for a friend on a Waddington, but you can also tie them on a hook if you want a smaller fly. As always, I'll put a materials list in the description, along with a link to the Patreon page for anybody that wants to support the channel, get access to the monthly fly tying classes, the members only content, as well as being entered into the giveaways. Alternatively, you can like the video, watch all the way to the end, share it, comment below, that all helps the channel to grow. So I've got my shank and my vice. This is a 25mm partridge Waddington. It's a double wire Waddington, right? You've got the two wires going all the way down, so it gives a bit of weight in the fly. But unlike the traditional way of mounting it, I'm going to sort of go intruder style, and use a loop of intruder wire, or intruder loop this is called. I don't actually think it is a wire. So you can have the flying single at the back. But you can do what you like. And as I say, you can tie it small, you can tie it as a hooked fly, size 6, size 4, size 8, size 10, if you want something smaller. So what I like to do is mount the hook on the loop, and I'll take a couple of turns of thread just to sort of hold it, and I'll set my length. Now I can quite easily use the one before and just draw it in until it's the same length, and then I'm just going to run down the shank, nice tight wraps, keeping this on top. You don't need to have touch and turns all the way down. By the time you tie back along, you'll have plenty of grip. Now I like to come right to the front, because I don't want the intruder loop to like split in between the two shanks of the Waddington. Right, I want to keep that closed as far as possible for the length of the fly. So when I pull this back, you can see there on the underside it's not coming through. And then I'll come back to somewhere in the body. Now the rear half is tinsel and the front half's dubbing, so I'll cut that so that the step is inside the dubbing to give me a nice smooth underbody. Where the tinsel's going to wrap. Now I'm just using a mylar, gold and silver. Just catch it on at the back there. And I'll grab my rib, which is gold wire. I'll catch that on. It's going to come up. Again, I need it to be smooth, or as smooth as possible, on that rear half. You're going to get a wee bump, it's unavoidable, where the two shanks meet, but it's not that pronounced. So just to protect all this, make it a bit tougher, got to get some super glue down. Now the super glue, you don't need a ton. I know some folk would probably want to put the glue on earlier when the intruder wire, but honestly you don't need it. So got a nice straight turn at the back, and then I'm going to work my way forward, slightly overlapping the turns, and it'll carry that glue around as it goes. Keep it nice and tight, and I'm going to come further forward than I need to, just to get a nice transition. Right, I always like to, if I'm doing like a half and half body, I like to bring the tinsel up so that when I start the dubbing, it's like the tinsel's sort of going inside it rather than butting up against it. Now, what I would say, see when you're tying a fly like this, and it's half and half, if you're tying a batch of them, keep your first one, and you can always measure. I mean, you see there, the back end, where I've got my thread, is slightly ahead of where that dubbing is, so that when I wind my dubbing on, I know where to come back and start it, so they're all exactly the same. I mean, obviously once you've tied 3 or 4, you'll no need to do that. You'll just be, your eye will be right in. But it's a good thing to have if you've got a sample fly or something. Use it to check your sizes and proportions. See, so I took the thread back there, I'll just show you. So I took the thread back like that couple of turns, and then that first wrap of the dubbing is backwards, right, to that point there, which is going to give me the same length of gold as the sample fly, right, or as the last one I tied, the first one I tied. And in Mock Morgan's book, he says this should be kind of tied, he says portly, so dress the dubbing heavily, right. This is just fluorescent red silver. I mean, it wouldn't really matter if you don't use silver, but you know, you could use a different, you could use SLF, or, I mean, if you wanted to make it flashier, you could use something like the Glitz dubbing or SSS or something. Entirely up to you. I'm just going to build that up, and I'm going to leave myself plenty of space to tie on the wings and the hackle and the jungle cock. So got my gold wire for my rib, going to take a full turn at the back, and then I'm going to come up in evenly spaced turns, keep them nice and tight. Lift that dubbing out of the way. Like that one there. And I always like a full turn at the front. Locks everything in, and I can catch that on the underside. Keep the thread tight. And then, what difference still, just worry that. So very strong, this wire. I hate to cut it with my scissors, so just worry it away. Hopefully it'll snap at the right place first time. Anything going forward, just sweep it back, and then you can give the dubbing a wee brush if you want, just free out some of the fibres. Don't need to go crazy, just enough. Now, the pattern list in Mock Morgan's book is, it just says it says yellow and squirrel tail, but in the description below it says there's a tricolour wing of yellow, orange and black, right? So obviously it's not just plain yellow, it's a mix, and in the photo in the book as well it's clearly a mix. So I'm going to start with the yellow, and you don't need too much, right? You're putting on 3 bunches of hair here. You know, even though it's an inch Waddington, by the time you get the 3 bunches on, you'll have a decent wing without having great big bunches of each. So I'll take the yellow first, and I'm going to grab right up at the tips. Try to avoid stabbing yourself in the process. And take away all the short hairs. And I basically need the full length of the hair here. I'm just going to tidy the end. And then I'll just sort of flatten that wee bit on top. And you'll actually, squirrel tail's very, it's a very hard, solid hair, and it can be prone to pulling out at the best of times. The flat shank of the Waddington does actually help you in this respect, but I still like to get a bit of super glue on my thread. I'll come to the front and tie over the cut ends. Then I'll just do the same again with the orange. Again, not too heavy. And same again. See, I mean, I've got this set so the length is basically like that hook's right at the back of the wing. You can just spread that with your thumbnail, get it on top. Make sure it's sitting quite like that. I'm just, the way this is sitting, it looks like I can probably put a wee taper in it, which will again help with some things. Helps you grip if the hairs are not all the same length. The thread can come into contact with more individual hairs, giving you better grip. And then, but the same again, we'll take the super glue on the thread and get it into these cut ends and wrap down. And you know, you're using these in the rivers, you don't need to worry about the salt water damaging the glue, causing the glue to rehydrate. Hackle's black hen, need a decent size one obviously because it's a decent size fly here, the 1 inch Waddington. Your overall fly's 1.5 inches to 2 inches nearly. So I'll get my hackle. And this is just how I like to tie this. I like the look of it. Use the hackle to sort of bring your head into a bit better proportion, and then the final wing. So I'm going to just double this as I wind and get a decent hackle on it. that's not sitting for me, so I'll just go back. There's just some fibres that are not behaving. Try it this time. That's much better. Now I'll come across my thread, bend the hackle so that I can come through between the spaces. My stem's quite thick, so I'm just going to trim it. And then going forward I'll just trim it off, fold it back and take a couple of turns of thread over the top. Now the last wing, I've actually not got any black squirrel, so I'm using black Arctic Runner, which is fine. It's close enough, you know, it's a nice kind of straight hair, a nice taper in it. So I'm going to take a small bunch. Again, I don't need an awful of it. Just make sure you get some longer fibres in there. I mean, it's up to you how dark you want to go. How long you want the black, etc. I like it a wee bit shorter, just sort of, one, because it accentuates the teardrop shape of the fly slightly, having a wee bit thicker wing at the front, and two, I like the colour to be sort of visible. So check my length, come in, cut the ends, offer it in on top, two or three wraps and check it. Quite happy with that. Again, I can come in and just cut that at an angle so it tapers, gives me more access to the cut ends. And again, a wee bit glue. Catch that later. There we go. There's just a single hackle fibre there touching my glued thread. The last thing, and this is optional, is jungle cock. Get yourself a couple of eyes. Oops. They're the same, obviously. And I mean, you can tie them in and leave the wee bits of white if you want. I'm going to strip them so it's just the eye. If I was going any bigger, I'd probably keep the fluff. But this size is just sort of on the borderline for me. But again, that's just personal taste, right? You can do what you want. So I've got one on your side, so one on my side, we'll do your side now. Just have a wee check of the length. Just look at it from above. Make sure they're the same. Have a look from the front to make sure that they're obviously at the same angle. And then you can take another couple of wraps. Just got to give a final check. That looks okay. Fold back. Now I'm using a UTC 140 here. You could use a finer thread if you want it. You're still going to have a fairly sizable head, but it's alright. Again, just to make for a really strong head and tie in. A bit of glue. Got a nice shape. Quick finish. Take away your thread. The jungle cork will break away. Or cut away if you need to. And then all that's required now is a couple of coats of varnish and your fly's done. Obviously don't get any varnish on your hackle. And allow plenty of time to dry between coats. I mean, one coat is enough right, for fishing, but if you want that nice, good looking shiny head, two or three coats and you end up with a lovely fly, with a lovely head. So I hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up below and I'll see you for another video. Till then guys, bye.